It is the Mosley Show. Welcome in to a show that big in Dallas, obviously Central Texas, Houston, Austin. And as I was told earlier today by one of our major sales associates at Rogue Media Network. Oh, by the way, Kev, what's our Kev's with us, Kevin Hall, Central National Bank. Oh, there it is at the top. I was kind of curious. I was like, what are we teasing today? NFL talk. All right. Lane Kiffin fallout. Oh, and he's kind of backpedal a little bit. I was loving this back and forth. I sent you his latest backpedal.
Yeah.
Kev, but that's funny, kind of what happened. And we'll talk about women's basketball because we do. Not everybody does. We do. And we enjoy it, and we enjoy the drama of it. And there was drama in Oxford, Mississippi last night. And then Pete Sousa, the Pete Sousa Show, will be joining us. And Kevin today was like, Matt, we should have.
You know what everyone is talking about right now?
What's that?
Is the Indiana Bears.
You're just going to force this in. I thought you said it was just basically a tactic. It's a tactic. Hammond is using them as a stalking horse, basically, to get a better deal done on that side of the river.
But the more it sounds like, the more it gets talked about, it sounds like this is almost a. Okay, so let me.
You've lived everywhere, by the way.
Yeah.
Have you also been in Chicagoland?
Yes, I lived in Chicago for a year. Have you ever been to Soldier Field?
Oh, yes. I've covered games there. I mean,
it's awful.
I never get out. It's not. It's fine.
It's a mile walk from the closest affordable parking. The weather is terrible. It looks like a spaceship landed in a Greek
I love
ruin.
That. I love that area right there.
Gross.
I'm pointing at. Nobody can see me pointing. But I love that. That's an iconic side of the building over there.
Like, half of it got cut in half, and then
it's fine.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful.
There's nowhere to build.
Right there
There's
on the
nowhere
lake.
to expand. You know what? You know what's right on the lake? Right on the lake is Hammond, Indiana. They're gonna
renovate that place.
They're gonna have beautiful views of the skyline of Chicago right across the lake.
You have hijacked the show, and you are banned. I'm putting you in the penalty box for 1 minute. You serve 1 minute and get that off my screen. I do not want. I'm tired of. That's already too much Bears talk. But Hammond. See, I'll start talking about it again. I'm going to lock Kevin out. Kevin is in the penalty box. Kevin, do we have a penalty box timer we can put up? I'm going to put him in there for a minor. What is that? What's a minor? Can I
2
put
minute.
You in there in a minor? Is that a 2-minute minor?
2 minute.
I wish we had like a minor when I put you in the penalty box. We could actually have you in there. I've seen people in the penalty box get in a fight with the fan. One time a fan leaned on the glass and he fell over the glass. And the guy, if you're a fan and you're talking and you get over that glass and somehow, I know what it was. The guy in the penalty box he was drinking some water and he took his squirt bottle and he squirted the fan with it. And the fan tried to come over the glass and they ended up in a melee. Speaking of that though, Kevin, and we can, and at some point when it's appropriate, we can decide whether we liked it. Because yesterday I saw renderings of something. It's not the new Bears facility or the possible new Bears, wherever they're going to build, whether it's in Indiana or Illinois. This was the Arizona State's new indoor facility. And apparently it's not even an Arizona State fan, somebody who supports the area from the Valley, but they're the ones who put up the huge gift. And now I'm reading today, Kevin, right before the show, like moments before the show, I'm always kind of like, as an old newspaper man, here's the kind of how I like to do things. I like fresh news. I'm always kind of like, what's something new? What's something I can bring on the show just immediately? And the thing I saw right before we came on, Kev, is that SMU, God, these people never run out of money. That's it. I guess that's what billionaires do, is they never run out. Here's another $50 million gift to SMU. And I didn't even have time to look, Kev, to like exactly where they're going to put it, but it just bugs the heck out of me. By the way, Kev, I got some bracketology notes for you today. And I also want to get into this, and we can do some of it in Campus Confidential coming up at 1:30. But we can, Kev, okay, Kev's reporting to me that, yeah, we knew that, Kev. Okay, yeah, Seahawks are for sale. A lot of that was because, Kev, the old, that family, when he died, what's the guy, the old Microsoft guy? Allen, his sister's like Jody Allen. Is that right? What's their name?
It's the Allen family. Yep.
Yeah, Kev, the Allen family, he told them, he's like, if I die, which he did, sadly, I don't want the family to hold on to it. I want to sell. And so she is honoring her brother's wishes. I hope I have that right. I think it's Jody Allen is his sister. Anyway, they're trying to, so they are going to sell, and boy, sell a good time to do it, I guess, Kev. I mean, price should be way up there. You just win a Super Bowl. Kev, what's that thing? What's the valuation?
So
at last time we looked?
I just read an article from
billions. Yeah.
I just read an article from Mike Florio this morning that said that they're expecting somewhere between $9 and $11 billion, and basically they're expecting it not to actually be market value, but more street value. It just depends on how many multi-billionaires show up. It may just be an auction kind of deal where this may blow the water out of anything that's ever been seen.
Depends on how many people want it.
Yep.
It's in an interesting place. Seattle lost its basketball team. There are signs that the NBA may be trying to go back in there.
That's what I thought.
Seattle's had a great organization, great fan base. That's a crazy number, but an NBA team, and we're talking about the Lakers, went for, I can't remember, Kev. Check that out. I just think, that's iconic, but still NFL compared to NBA. There's certain brands, whether it be one of those premier, EPL teams, like Man U or one of those enormous ones, or the Cowboys or the Yankees or the Lakers, that are kind of what you're saying, Kevin, just kind of defy logic. It's like, how do you put a price on? You might say, well, the valuation of the Dallas Cowboys is, and you could almost put any number on it. And then it would be about what somebody is willing to pay for it. But anyway, there we go on all that. But Kevin, before we jumped into that, golly, where am I? I was looking at this bracketology. The latest bracketology has come out from Joe Lunardi. And I don't want people to be confused, because yesterday, all these writers and, Jeff Goodmans of the world and college basketball types hold up, and they did their they put a bracket together, and they it was a NCAA letting them in on, this is how we do it. And it's an interesting exercise, but then they come up with this, and then everybody overreacts to it. It's like, how could you do this? How could you do that? It's the freaking media. They're not doing anything. They were just kind of a cool little exercise to see where you would put things. And apparently, like Seth Davis was in there saying, they're like, well, Seth, why would you put St. John's ahead of Vanderbilt? And he's like, I don't know. I just like them more. Well, I hope the committee members don't say things like that. I hope they're actually putting some metrics behind this. Right now, by the way, this has Big 12 related bracket watch. I looked at this morning. The Michigan is the top overall seed. This is Lunardi. This is way more trustworthy than anything those media members did. No offense to them, but they're just having fun. Like I would tell them to their face that, right? So Michigan top overall seed. USC is the last team in. That's Coach Muss that went from Arkansas to SC. And then the first team out in all of the mocks, in all of the, all that stuff, is TCU in terms of the bracket watch. The other thing I was going to say that caught my eye, Kevin, on bracketology is that because of UConn's recent loss to Creighton, University of Houston replaced UConn on the one line. So the fourth number one seed is now Houston. All right. And that's the South region. That would be that group's going to end up in Houston, I guess, that's where the Sweet 16 will be, right? But they would send Houston to Oklahoma City to open up right now against Wright State in the 8-9 game. Kevin, this is why I bring this up. Pay attention, because this involves you and all the gear you have on today. An 8 seed Clemson playing 9 seed Indiana. That means that if Indiana could get past Clemson, that they would face the mighty University of Houston and their former head coach, Kelvin Sampson.
To be fair,
I don't know who we're being fair to, but
Indiana still has to play at Mackey, Purdue tonight, and they still have to play Michigan State. The Michigan State game is at home, but still 2 big looming games for the Hoosiers, so we'll see.
What do you do? I don't understand who we're being fair to. Are you saying this to say that Indiana may not be that high at the time? Based on who they're about to play.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Now, since we're on this, by the way, tough opening round game for Nebraska right now. Nebraska would open with Stephen F. Austin. Watch out if SFA makes it in as a 13 seed. Lumberjacks would be a dangerous 13 seed. Oh, my goodness. Right now, Ohio State's one of those teams barely getting in, like last 4 in. They would play North Carolina in this 6 versus 11 game in that region. And number 3 seed Florida would play Portland State. Of interest to our Aggies, and we do have some, since my daughter's an Aggie and I actually talk a lot about A&M. It's hard for me to say that still. My daughter's an Aggie. Yeah, she does go there. Still a Baylor Bear, kind of at heart, I believe, but still, she goes to Texas A&M, great school, and she seems to do pretty well. Had a big accounting test the other day. I have not heard how she did on that. Texas A&M would be a 10 seed and open with Utah State. Utah State is a scary team. They're not bad at all. And so anyway, I was just looking to see if there's any other. Kansas would open as a 3 seed right now against how do we say that? Austin Peay, right? Austin Peay. Is that how we say that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Austin Peay.
Yeah. As I was thinking in my mind, I was like, that sounds weird. All right. And then UConn on a 2 seed would play number 15 Navy. All right. BYU would come in as a 6 seed, and there we go. The last teams to skip the first 4 round would be UCF, A&M, Auburn, and Ohio State. I still think with like 5 games left in the Big 12 that there's a lot to have happen between these 3 teams: UCF, TCU, and West Virginia, because all of those teams with a couple of like nice wins could kind of change their trajectory, or with a couple of bad losses could go the other way. As much as I hate to admit it, Baylor right now is those teams Baylor beat, like West Virginia is one of them, one of their 3 wins. that really is a bad loss for West Virginia, given how Baylor's season has gone. And so that's just the sad truth of this. Now, Kev, we'll do Campus Confidential at 1:30. And again, I don't want you to feel like, oh, we can't talk about this in Campus Confidential, because we totally can if there's some other angles you want to bring up to this. But I got to say, the back and forth this morning and last night between Lane Kiffin and LSU and Ole Miss is making me laugh. LSU went into Ole Miss and they were down, and then Kim made some adjustments, put the zone on them, ran some 3-2 and late, and Ole Miss, Kev, goes 0 for 14 or 0 for 17 to finish the game. Basically didn't score a field goal in the fourth quarter. They had a 9-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and the LSU Tigers came storming back to win. Now, Kim did some things that she does. She sat down a couple of her star players. One of her star players she benched and didn't play in the second half. Everybody's like, she hurt? What's going on? And Kim's just like, hey, it's just a coach's decision. And she changed up some of what she was doing, and they came storming back, and they won that game. And Kevin, you were asking me at the end of the show yesterday, Matt, would number 17 Ole Miss hosting number 7 LSU, who would win? And at first I said Ole Miss, and then I kind of thought about it, and I said probably need to go with LSU here. I'm glad I changed, because while Ole Miss was up, LSU came storming back. And I couldn't remember, Kevin, if it was last night or this morning, but Kiffin gets in there and starts taking some pokes at the Ole Miss coach, Coach Yo, we call her. Yolanda is her first name. I like her. I've always liked her. They knocked Baylor out of the Big 12 tournament. Or excuse me, not the Big 12 tournament, the NCAA tournament last year. They're good. They're good. Now, Baylor did not have a full – Bugs had been hurt, and Baylor was not totally itself, but still they won. They came to Waco. We enjoyed hosting them, and then they put on a good show. They put on a good show. LSU comes back and wins that game. But, I mean, Kev, it's everything we wanted it to be with women's basketball. We're just kind of like, hey, man, entertain. Let's have some entertainment. Well, they had like 8,000 fans there. And then afterwards, LSU was talking that talk. And Kiffin got involved. And Mulkey had some interesting little comments at the end of her talk. Kev, where do we want to start here? Do we want to play a little bit of, can we play some Mulkey after the game? Because I thought this is when it got a little petty. Kev, can we? Oh, here we go. Here we go.
That could have been excuses for losing. The hard foul gave up about 4 or 6 points there, because I think they hit a 3 after they made 3 free throws. We had a post player throwing it in after a timeout that created a turnover, and then I didn't play Michaela in the second half. So you make decisions in this game. Sometimes they're the right decisions, sometimes they're not. Great crowd. I'm glad they came to see us play. Some of those people probably saw LSU for the first time. We appreciate that.
You cut her off, Kev. I like that. That was so petty. Oh my goodness, that was Kim at her best, and it was echoing something.
It kind of sounded like something I would hear Cronin say, honestly, a little bit.
Well, I mean, listen, they're both. Now, Kim has won more than Cronin will ever win. Cronin did lead UCLA to the Final Four the same year Baylor was there in 2021, and he got beat on that unbelievable Gonzaga shot, as I recall. I think that was Cronin's team. I believe it was. So he's certainly done well there. But Kev, that was funny because, I think Kiffin inspired that comment, because he had put out there that, we're going to help you fill your gym. You see, and I can't remember if that was, I think that was before the game yesterday. Kiffin put that tweet. out. And Kevin, just to give people behind the scenes, as I try to do that for our people. By the way, we're going to have Pete Sousa on at 2:00 today. That'll be fun. But I sent Kim yesterday before the game what Lane had said about, hey, LSU was going to help you fill your, they're going to help attendance or something along those lines, whatever the tweet was. And I got back from Kim, I got a OMG back. So, and then, it's just very interesting. Then I heard from Kim last night, and I've heard from her this morning some about kind of her strategy and what she tried to do and all of that down the stretch. But this morning has been just a firestorm of back and forth between Kiffin and Coach Yo at Ole Miss. And boy, she didn't like that he tagged her. And then so Kev, and feel free to put any of these tweets up, but did you see the one where she said something along the lines of, Coach Golding, Coach Pete, the new coach at Ole Miss, he comes to our games and he would never tag a coach in a tweet like this. And they've gotten involved. And so this all led to about an hour ago for Lane to feel a little bit bad about what he did, what he said. And he came out and he said what Coach Yo has done with that program and whenever she took over is amazing, and it's an amazing program. So he kind of backed off a little bit. He kind of backpedaled a little bit, but it was fun, the back and forth. Now, again, the greatness of this is you got Ole Miss, good program. LSU, great program. South Carolina, unbelievable program. You got some of these SEC schools, and Tennessee was coming back and looking pretty good, but they've slid recently. And Kevin, of all things, as all this is happening, Tennessee gets its rear beat by Texas A&M. And that's why I need to say something nice about that Texas A&M coach. They've been in a valley. They got beat one time recently. I looked, Kevin, and they were down literally like 70-30 something. And I thought to myself, how can A&M not be good at women's basketball? Huge resources. Can really go hire any coach they want. There's no excuse for A&M being bad. Kevin, quietly, the old Ags have won 3 of their last 4 in the women's game. All right. So if I'm going to beat up on the A&M women's coach and go, how are they so bad? I need to give them their flowers when they do well. And they beat Tennessee. Something about that made me laugh, Kevin, because where my dad grew up down in East Texas, down in Elkhart, Texas, outside of, near Palestine, they used to ask my dad, they all called him John Dean. John Dean's his middle name. And I think the saying was, y'all beat John Dean, y'all beat. And that was the East Texas way of asking if you won the game. Y'all beat? Doesn't that sound, Kevin, so Texas? It sounds it could also be kind of Cajun. I could see people asking it like that in Louisiana, but I always like that. I like that phrase. Y'all beat? In fact, after I'm gonna do that with next time I get Scott Drew on, I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna say, Scott, y'all beat? Baylor has a game tomorrow. Baylor men, and hey, all of them are big. This is not the lottery. They're not trying to tank. They're trying to win games, and they're trying to get some momentum going heading into the Big 12 tournament. And it's rough. It's rough out here. And we're going to have Scott probably Monday. So let's just hope. Let's hope they get a big win Saturday. And then we can have Scott on to talk about the Tuesday matchup with the number, whatever they are, the number 4 team in the country coming in. I don't know what they'll be by then, but we're talking about the Arizona Wildcats. I mean, it's tomorrow, of course, and Kevin will bring some of this up as we get into the show. But tomorrow, Kevin, we had Fran Fraschilla on yesterday, and maybe later in the show we'll play a little bit more of what Fran had to tell us and react to it. But Kevin, we have 2 versus 4 tomorrow in college basketball. That game is at the University of Houston. In fact, we were able to get Fran before he was getting on a plane today to go, and when he was going to land and have to go straight to University of Houston shoot around or practice or whatever they were having. He was going to go attend that. I'm trying to think, Kevin, if I had to do like a power ranking of Fran Fraschilla, like, his ranking of coaches that he likes the most in the Big 12, I would put Scott Drew first. I would put Bill Self second, Kelvin third, TJ Otzelberger fourth, and then maybe kind of a wild card. I might put fifth, Jamie Dixon. I think he's got a lot of love for Jamie and what Jamie's done with his program, which is, okay. I mean, they were pretty bad for quite a few years before Jamie got there, and I would say he's made them okay. He's made them kind of like, may go to the NCAA tournament every other year type deal. It's fine. It's okay. Not Baylor. It's not Tech. It's not Kansas. It's not Houston. And you say, well, Matt, Baylor, what are you bringing up Baylor? They're having one horrible season. Let's see. Now, if they do it 2 years in a row, we need to come back here. We need to have some major conversations. But they're not. They're not. They're going to turn this thing around. I had this interesting thought, Kevin, and when I have these things, I need to get them off my chest. And I'm trying to like formulate these things, and I need to kind of like, because I think I'm like, oh, okay, this is it. And Kevin, here's my thought on this. I think one of the superpowers that the new Baylor AD has, Doug McNamee, is that he didn't hire anybody. I'm not talking about just men's basketball, women's basketball, like men's tennis, women's tennis. It doesn't matter. Like he literally did not hire anybody at the school. And he was part of the group that brought in Matt Rule. He was on that search committee back in the day. That ended up being a great hire that Mac made back in 2000 December or January of 2016 or 17. The reason I think this is kind of a superpower right now for Doug McNamee is because, like, nobody now, other than Scott, I will say Scott, for what he's done over the years, is kind of a made man. And I hate it that it's happening to him this year, but I would say Scott desperately wanted Doug McNamee to get the job. He hated Mac being whatever happened to Mac leaving, Mac resigning. He hated that because he had a great relationship with Mac. But of all the people they could have hired, I think Scott was most excited about Doug McNamee. Now, that said, Doug is in a position where, again, he can just freely evaluate. He didn't hire Aranda. He hired no one. And so the cool part of that is he can have just a fresh evaluation of all of these coaches. And it puts like every one of these coaches on notice. Like, now Doug's been around and understands that like Glenn's been a great softball coach over the years. And he understands, that Michael Woodson has led a team to the Final Four and has been an incredible asset to Baylor. So he has great understanding of that. But I was just thinking of this because somebody said something about like, oh my gosh, it's the lowest Baylor athletics has been since whatever, 2017 and all this blah, all this misery. But the AD, while he inherits this, he doesn't. None of these are like, the thing with Mac is, it's like, wait, is Mac going to give this person too long or too many chances because he hired him? I mean, you could make the argument that he should have fired Aranda after the 2023 season. They had a dreadful season. They were like 1-7 at home. They were awful. And he totally could have justified firing Dave Aranda, but he didn't. Why did he not? Well, several reasons. Aranda's contract. They loved Dave. He thought he could hold on to all these players. Whatever the reason. Part of the reason had to be he hired him. Mac hired Dave Aranda. He desperately needed and wanted it to work. When you hire someone, your name and your reputation is on the line. And so he wanted to do everything in the world to try to make it work for Dave Aranda. Why is Dave Aranda still the head coach of the Baylor Bears right now? Because Mac Rhodes got himself in trouble and he got fired. He didn't get fired. He left on his own accord, whatever. Okay. And then they had a settlement. But he had to go. That is the reason Dave Aranda is still the head coach. Everybody knows it. We don't have to hide it. Now, that doesn't mean that Aranda's not a great guy and can't take advantage of this unbelievable turn of good fortune for him. Yes, Mac's demise allowed Dave Aranda to move forward with some of his staff members and a whole new recruiting class and DJ Lagway, and he has a chance to, flip the script and do something amazing and throw some haymakers and have a great football season. So anyway, yeah, Kevin, just something that came to me this morning that I kind of wanted to get out there, and I may formulate this a little more. As a writer, the great thing about being a writer is I could really put all this down and edit. And it's the only problem about doing broadcasting is sometimes you just throw it out there at once. And then later you're like, should I have said it this way? Should I have said it this way? But again, I think there's something to this. McNamee and he needs to use this to his advantage. He hasn't hired any of these people. So it does a couple of things. They're all, even the people who've been here a long time, they're all on notice. And they may say, we're always on notice. When someone comes in who didn't hire you, it's a different situation for everybody. And so Doug can do a extremely fresh evaluation, and he's not tied to anybody. It doesn't mean he's not rooting like crazy for Mitch and Glenn and Michael and Joey and the whole, Nikki, but he's not tied to it like Mac was for some of the people he hired. I need this. It's like Jerry, honestly, you say, well, Jerry fires people all the time. Not really. He hung on to Garrett probably too long. Maybe even McCarthy with all his playoff failures, because Jerry hired them. And it makes Jerry look bad to have to move on from them. And so Doug comes in here and he's got a lot of fresh. Now, Doug's got a lot of fires to put out, and there's some negatives that he's inheriting, but that's not one of them. Like when everybody goes, Baylor's in a horrible spot. Well, what do you want to do? Blame Doug? Doug wasn't a part of any of this. The demise, I guess you could try to say, well, he was here when the scandal hit for Baylor. Doug was one of the few people who survived that because, the thought was at the time that Doug didn't take part in any of that stuff. And again, we won't try to relitigate that because that would really throw us into something. All right, Kevin, let me make sure. Did I tell you we were going to have Pete at 2? I did say that, didn't I? I just wanted to make sure that's what I told Pete. I have these. Every once in a while I have one of these moments. Yeah. Doug, he wanted to be notified about 145 or 150. Okay, we're all good. Let's do some Campus Confidential. We'll do that next.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we were hoping Coach Collin would bring that championship mindset to do whatever she has to do to take our workplace culture to the next level.
Well, these donuts are pretty good.
Guys, how we doing?
We're good, Coach.
Craig! What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You have to dunk it.
So far, I think our employees are really enjoying it.
Not everything's a basketball thing.
Did you say something, Craig?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Dude, I think she likes you.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
But boy, it looked effortless.
Man, watch this.
Layups, floaters, threes. He was like an unsolvable equation.
I was born like this.
His resilience, his strength, his belief, adversity never stood a chance.
Know your power.
All right, it is the Mosley Show, and we continue on, and I want to oh man, oh, look at what I did, Kevin. I did something. Well, I am really excited about Pete Sousa joining us at 2:00, and man, I'm excited about Campus Confidential. I'm also excited about Lake Waco Golf Club, and what a deal that is. Lake Waco Golf Club. I mean, the executive course, the executive, par 3 course, the 18-hole course, the bar and grill. It is really, really good. And man, I just everything about it. That's why I joined recently. I want to send folks out there to check it out, and I love their partnership with us. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. Also appreciative of us being our numbers, Kev, are, as I was telling Stephanie was sharing with me earlier today, growing in LA. I am very, very excited about this, Kevin. We're the Los Angeles area. Don't you think so? The sunglasses.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're familiar with that kind of look out there. Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, let's do some Campus Confidential, sir. We got Pete Sousa coming up. And if we run out of time, save some. We can go into the hour. And so anyway, that'll be good. But what do you have for me? I'm excited about this.
All right. What do you think of Brett McMurphy's way too early CFP bracket that he came up with? What do you think of this one here? I've given you another one earlier. This one came across. I was like, I gotta see what Matt thinks about this.
Way too early playoff prediction from McMurphy. Yeah. Did you throw one of these at me the other day?
I did.
Yeah. Who was that
kind
from?
of rolling out.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I don't. Where's Indiana? Oh, up there at 7. Okay. And the last one that came out with Indiana was at 6. That would be on the Indiana campus, I guess, and A&M would be going in there in this prediction. Be a really great matchup. It'd be a fun matchup. I guess the only thing that's a little bit of a bum, I guess he did change a few things out. He's got Notre Dame in. Notre Dame, if they finish at a certain level, are guaranteed to get in. And so they do have an even better chance, a much better chance than last time. I don't understand. I mean, maybe he knows something about UTSA that we don't know. That almost seems like a random, like a pat on the back for our buddy who coaches there. I like him. Don't get me wrong. But that trailer, I don't really understand that. And then what do I see versus Oregon? Is that the Utes?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't. That doesn't check out with me. I would, if you're going to have a couple of Big 12 teams, I would say BYU or Arizona State before the Utes. I would even put Arizona before the Utes because I think Utah's in for a rough go here because they lost Whittingham and new coach. He took a ton of people with him. I think they're stepping into something.
Well,
what do you have?
The thing that bothers me as a Hoosier is the whole Notre Dame #1 and winning the whole thing. Come on, then I came across this, and this is the banner that should be hung in Notre Dame.
Beating the end of the year before they won. Who says that? Where does this come from?
Oh, this is just some meme that somebody put out, which of course, but it leads us to.
By the way, most of us. Let me ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
Most of us, and let's not get too off. This is not a Kevin soliloquy moment.
No.
I just want to ask you real quick. What do Indiana and Notre Dame people care about each other? Because in my mind, I don't even. First of all, Indiana has the name of the freaking state. Most people don't even really think about Indiana when they think about Notre Dame because Notre Dame is such a huge brand. So is there some feeling of contempt between those two schools? Because the most of America would not even understand that nor care, I guess.
No, in the state of Indiana, it's Indiana and Purdue, right? Notre Dame is kind of this afterthought. They're up north. They're in Chicago. They might as well be in Chicago because of all the Catholic thing. But with the rise of Indiana football, this has become more of a thing because a lot of Indiana people, even who graduated from Indiana, would be Indiana basketball fans, but then turn to Notre Dame as let's go ahead and root for the state at least in something that could be feasible in football. And so now there's been this great contention in football as Indiana has rose to prominence with this man who just got a new contract. $13.2 million. This is the third time in the past 15 months they've extended or increased his contract. Is that good preventative business or careless desperation just to keep him? What do you think?
That's interesting because you actually asked that question without being as leading as you normally would with any kind of Indiana news. It's a backhanded compliment to you. I think that, it's just given what he's done, and it's wild. If they had done this based on the first season, I would have made the argument just completely ridiculous. They made the playoff, but you desperately need to see more before you do something, this crazy. This is crazy, but it's just because of what we know about Indiana's history. It's not. It's crazy in the sense that none of us ever thought something like this could happen. But given what he's done and coming off a national title, to me, this is just honoring his contract. The way they did it is they allowed for these sort of live look-ins that they do on these kinds of contracts. And there you have it. And, what's interesting to me is I wonder if any of these schools like Indiana are protecting themselves at all in these buyouts. And it'll probably be because it's a state school, it would probably be in there, and they may have addressed this, Kevin. What I'm getting at is, are they at least protecting themselves on the Jimbo stuff?
Right.
Like a Jimbo who was owed $75 million buyout.
Right. Because
if he
still goes to 2033. His contract still, they didn't extend it. It just increased the pay.
Yeah.
Still goes through 33. And this now ties him with Kirby Smart as the highest paid per year coach in college football.
I'm not saying this will happen, but if the bottom dropped out and for whatever reason, kind of like Baylor just is having a horrific basketball season, and he just has 2 horrible years and they go, dang it, I can't believe it, but we're having to move on from Sig. I wonder how much they would owe him. I mean, it would be, I think they'd have to owe him all the way through 33,
right? Which
would be enormous money. Now, let's think about this. Just think logically about this. The man is 65. We are in the year of the Lord. I don't even know how to say that. 2026, right?
Very nice. Yes.
Yeah. We're in 2026. That, if I'm doing my math correct, is like 7 more years.
Yep.
So they're taking him where he's either going to be 72 or 73 years old. Is he 66 yet, or is he about 65?
It could be 8 years, depending on what they're actually through the 33 season.
Okay.
Yeah.
But wow.
Yeah.
The world is not full of 73 and 74-year-old coaches. In fact, I bet as far as Division Power 4 coaches, if you say, well, Mosley, who's coached into their 70s? I would say Joe Paterno, and we all know how that ended, sadly. Bear Bryant coached, if he didn't make it to 70, he got real close, 69 or 70. And I think Saban was still on the job when he turned 70. So it doesn't happen very often. So, yeah, it's very, very interesting. Scotty's, I bet Indiana is some nobody poaches. Yeah. Well,
yeah, basically did this as a protection. Yeah. Yeah.
I
think that's definitely
the only person that could poach Signetti is if like some team like the Buffalo Bills that kind of up north where he's from, or maybe he grew up. He's probably told people this. I don't know it.
He's a Pittsburgh guy.
Okay, that's right.
Yep.
And of course they just did a deal with McCarthy, another Pittsburgh guy. If some NFL team basically said we desperately would pay him the money, bought the Ravens money that that Harbaugh just got in Baltimore. That's the only way anybody could poach him. I don't see any other college team poaching him. I mean, let's think of some of the things. Like Michigan just had this horrible thing happen. Okay, and they got Whittingham, who's similar age to Signetti. Like, what if, let's just play that out. What if Michigan, instead of going to Whittingham and giving him whatever he got, 10, 11 million, what if they had gone to Sig? I mean, that's on one hand, you're like, no, you just won a national title. Why would he ever leave Indiana? But then you'd say, but it's freaking Michigan. You could argue that Michigan is one of the top 3 jobs in all of college football. What's crazy, though, is Sig has taken Indiana from one of the worst Power 4 jobs in college football to a top 10 job. So, again, I'm answering my own question, Kev. I just have a hard time. I would have a very hard time thinking.
I think he's a college coach. He's said it. I think he just loves that environment. So I think the only thing that would pull him away is a similar situation where he could take a program and turn it and flip it. And honestly, one of the programs that sticks out in my mind, but he's not going to want to go back down the ladder, so he's going to want to stick in a Power 4 conference. Could he just turn his back and go Purdue? Oh, say it ain't
but
so.
He didn't. Wait, where did he go to school?
His dad was at West Virginia. I don't know. Was a coach.
He probably
there.
played at some tiny place where his dad was coaching or something.
Yeah, something
maybe.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, we need to look that up. But I don't. I mean, he's already done the whole thing. Okay. Here's the thing. I never say never, but there's only like Lane's embraces being slimy. Like, and I kind of respect him for it, right? He knows what he is, and he's a slime ball, yet he knows it and kind of embraces that. I don't think Sig is a slime ball. And any kind of behavior like that, going to Purdue or Ohio State or something like in the Big Ten, would be a slime ball move.
Yeah.
And I honestly think he's got some old school non-slime in him. And so I like that about him. Okay, interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, we do have Pete. Oh, you did send Pete the thing, didn't you?
Yes. The last thing I got before we can maybe do some game picks a little bit later is NCAA President Charlie Baker said that he would like to see the college basketball bracket expand. What are your thoughts?
Hate it. Those teams barely deserve, those teams that are now in the first 4, those teams barely deserve to be in. And then they make the poor teams that actually win a conference tournament to get in, they make them play in that against other bad teams. Like, there's no, what's really sad, Kev, I don't think 78 gets the Bears in, does it? I hate it. People like Mosley's laughing. No, I'm laughing to stop from crying. Like, we're not good enough to even make the top 78. Listen, Charlie Baker, unfortunately, this thing stayed the same, and then they'll revisit this thing. But there's no good reason. Nobody's being left out that needs to be in. And it's not like it won't make it like, the thing I love about the tournament is the first couple of days. The Thursday and Friday are the greatest things about the NCAA tournament. And I've been there, and I go to those opening rounds, and then I stay. Baylor played in New Orleans one of those years. That year they got to the Elite Eight and ran into Duke in Houston. They started in New Orleans, and I was there, and it was just one of the greatest few days of my life as a sports fan. It was just, and that was actually when I could just be a Baylor fan and not feel like, oh, I'm here to cover this. By the way, I did go as a fan to the Final Four in Indy. And it was COVID rules were still in place, and a few of us did get to go to that. And I was having so much fun with my friends and watching that game that I kept getting in trouble for lowering my mask because you wanted to talk to your buddies, right?
Yeah.
And and all the security was in charge of, and they would sit up there, put your mask back on, and all this kind of stuff. And old Mosley, I'd be slipping my mask down to talk. I got to do that as a fan. And so when Baylor won the national title in 2021, yes, I had a radio show and I was doing all that, but I was really there as Mosley the fan. And that was a night that I'll never forget. And because of my buddy Tyler Cooper, who's fighting cancer right now, and he's going to win this fight. I promise you that. But Kev, I got to fly there private and fly out that night private. Ooh. And it was yeah. The problem with living that life for just even once, you're just like, oh, this would be so cool to not get up and fight everybody through security and all that. Oh, that was incredible. But anyway, okay. Kevin, good stuff, man. That's a good one. I mean, not that they all aren't, but Kevin, that was particularly gold star.
But we have to have game picks later because, as you mentioned, it's a big weekend of college basketball.
All right, we'll do that. And Pete Sousa, who's part of the Rogue Media Network and 365 Sports and Kevin, whatever else we name all these things, Pete Sousa, and he's also ESPN broadcaster, joins us next.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
It's the President's Day sales event at Allen Samuels, and we're making history. Right now, your choice, a brand new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sahara or Gladiator Sport, $10,000 off MSRP. Or step up to adventure with the 2025 Gladiator Rubicon or Mojave, $13,000 off MSRP. Plus, drive home a new 2026 Jeep Compass Latitude for $29,890. Big capability, big savings, limited time. Shop us in Waco or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, for true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
At Toussaint's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Visit Toussaint's.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
It is the Mosley Show, and what a day it is on this Friday, and a lot going on. Lots of college basketball coming up. We had Fran Fraschilla on yesterday and then a guy who does games with Fran and is part of that ESPN community. Joining us now, Pete Sousa.
Hey, what's up, Mosley?
The Rogue community, the 360, whatever all the other things that were called. We're under that umbrella. Oh, look at that! I like that background there. Great to be with you, Pete. Welcome to the Mosley Show. And
let's go.
You'll be headed out tomorrow. It's always interesting to see your itinerary because Big 12, like midweek, then you could be on an AAC game. You never know. Be on the lookout because Penny Hardaway got extremely emotional the other night after a loss. So Pete, we always have drama, but doesn't this feel like this season? I'm even thinking about this very morning, Mick Cronin's press conference, having to apologize for throwing his own player out of a game. Doesn't it feel like we have even more drama than usual in college basketball?
It does. And I don't know if it's all the media outlets and all the coverage, or if it is just like to what you're saying, like a year that's beyond any other excitement wise. But it seems like, and even from a quality perspective, like every time you turn around, especially in the Big 12, there's another marquee game that's leading into like Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter. And it's a good look for the conference, but there's also some like the underbelly of stuff that people love to get into, like the Mick Cronin stuff, like the Darren Peterson stuff. There's a lot of meat on the bone, right?
Yeah. And that Cronin, and then we were just talking about earlier, even women's basketball. I mean, drama, certainly, Kim Mulkey is no stranger to drama. But in this instance, she takes down Ole Miss with a big fourth quarter comeback. And then Coach Yo from Ole Miss, they had a great crowd there. Now, it gets into it with Lane Kiffin this morning. I mean, Lane Kiffin sort of interjects himself, any sort of LSU / Ole Miss storyline, he's going to be right there. And I thought that was hilarious that even the LSU players, were holding up the Lane Kiffin pictures as they're there in Ole Miss. I mean, there's a lot of trolling going on.
Dude, and Stephen A. Smith was at the game. Like, it's just, there is a lot of excitement around college hoops, and it's funny. It's kind of transcended the NIL era that I think will be pretty easy for a lot of us to tap out in, or not easy, but some people have trouble stomaching the way that these guys get to school and how quickly they may leave to go to somewhere else. But it's kind of like the action on the floor and the drama that you're talking about off of it that keeps us coming back,
Yeah, it's kind of fun, and then Mulkey sort of congratulated. She was like, "This is a great, people got to see LSU for the first time tonight." And
I feel, I love Kim Mulkey, like for what she does for college sports and the interest she brings to women's basketball. I don't think she gets enough credit for what she's done for the game of women's basketball. And I'm not saying like you're short on giving her credit. I know. She's like friend of the show and all that stuff. But it's interesting when you think about that she was in our backyard for as long as she was. And I know that became like whatever, an untenable situation. But she's such a legend and such a powerful figure.
By the way, it shouldn't have been untenable. I mean, like if most coaches that win 3 national championships, it does not become untenable unless somebody allows it to become
well, Matt, and this is one thing. It speaks to your point about Mick Cronin, about the stuff that's going on with Tang, about more coaches that like we're hearing more sound bites from coaches than ever, like kind of like you touched on, because they're odd, they're compelling. The comments and the coaches, like these guys and women. We're not talking about the mental board of health here. I think that's something, and that we need to, not we need to, but like I'm starting to remember, like Mick Cronin, the dude just doesn't seem well mentally. Like he is. I bet if I were to sit down with you and hang out with Mick Cronin for 25 minutes, I would probably end up really liking the guy and quoting him later on with all his basketball experience. But at surface level, he is not a likable dude at all. I wouldn't want him anywhere near my program. And he thinks he's bigger than UCLA, which is a basketball historian. That annoys me. Every time I turn around, he's in front of a microphone. It's toxic. Enough is enough. On the other side of that, I really appreciated Coach Tang and the way he comported himself. And it is rubbish how they're trying to handle that situation at Kansas State. But maybe that's a negotiation we're just seeing play out before our eyes, right? More than likely. But man, there's so much excitement.
Pete, Jerome probably ended up hurting himself because he's a preacher. He actually is an ordained pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very
he doesn't know any
person.
other way but to communicate honestly. And I really think that. And I think that you're right. That was his Achilles heel at the end of the day. If you put him in front of a microphone, especially too, and you know this from all your years covering the NFL and the Cowboys, that whole cooling off period, I mean, it's kind of crazy. We jump right in there with questions, and these guys are just, sometimes reeling after a 30-point home loss to Cincinnati. I can't imagine you're going to get the most clear image of Jerome Tang and who he wants his program to be after a moment like that. But we don't give him much grace when we think about, well, I can't believe the guy said that. Well, it's I can understand why he said it. He probably wouldn't have said it tomorrow morning. But it's interesting how we grab these guys right after and then take them to task. Now, obviously the Kansas State thing is different. They're fishing there, and that's not cool.
Well, yeah, it's not like he probably earned getting fired just by virtue of being 111 and having 2 bad portal classes and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, even that Elite Eight run was great. What I remind people when people bring up Scott and the year Baylor's having, they're like, why are they not? Is it time for a Scott Drew conversation? And I'm like, you have to understand the context of, and you'll always do this on the broadcast, and I've probably heard it more than I want to hear it, but it is an amazing job that he did, what he took over. I mean, in some ways, it's Signetti-like. He took over a nothing program, the Ashes. They didn't even get to play a non-conference slate. They didn't have scholarships, and he kind of turned Baylor into a juggernaut. And so they're having one miserably horrible season. But I mean, we're probably so close to it, Pete. It's not like other programs don't have bad seasons. It's just they've had so many good players that this just and so many great seasons that this just feels awful, right? But you don't start thinking about, we should move on from Scott. This thing's like 2 years removed from Kentucky trying to hire your head coach away. So we're supposed to all just go, he forgot how to coach. That all was a fluke. Those 15 years or whatever were a fluke. It's not fair. Now he has to make changes, and he may have to make staff changes, NIL changes, the way he evaluates. He knows as well as anybody he needs to make changes. But this thought of man, I think now we live in this world where it's we're just ready to fire people constantly. And
constantly.
I think I need to be reminded sometimes, as miserable as I have been during this Baylor season, no, there are no conversations that need to be had about Scott other than he's got to make some changes on how he does things. And
here's an interesting opinion I had. This is my hottest take of it's not real, but it did cross my mind, right? And it can kind of grab you. A real hot take would be right now, if Baylor's searching for an athletic director, Doug McNamee doesn't get the job because Scott maybe doesn't have as much juice as he did back when they made the hire, right? Now that is floats through my mind as one of these people who hosts a show like you and is looking for interesting things to say and talk about. But the legitimacy of that rolls right out of my brain. Because Scott Drew should have as much juice as any college basketball coach within his athletic department, regardless of how this year goes. you've talked about this on your show. I've heard you. You do a great job of, look, Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski. We're not talking about one down year. Those guys had multiple down years in environments where, you know, people there was, I remember I was a senior in high school in 1995 or 96, and Coach K had such a bad year the year before, and then he had the back trouble. He just kind of disappeared. And we kind of forget about that. Like that was a real downtime for him and the program. And they bounced back. The most interesting thing for Coach Drew and for Baylor and for almost every coach around America is like, okay, how do we make a change here? How do we shift gears? I know that they're not waiting. They would like some guardrails or someone to come in and be the adult in the room. But like, until that happens, you got to find ways to evaluate talent, get it onto your roster, find a way to mix everything together. You know, Bill Self's a great example. You know, by Kansas standards, last year was a stinker. You know, they were a 7 seed going into the tournament. That's the highest seed they've ever been in his career at Kansas. And they'd missed on portal guys big time. And then this year he hits a couple home runs with Melvin Council and Trey White. Because could you imagine if they didn't have a guy like Council or a leader like Trey White with all the stuff that's going on with Darren Peterson? That would be probably a rough deal. Like, we talked to Bill Self. I had the Kansas-Oklahoma State game on Wednesday, and you say Melvin Council, the moment you get to the C in his last name, he's like, Self will be like, stud. You know, he loves him. Finally, he got a guy that's like as advertised as a man and as a player. And it just proves how hard it is to land that nowadays.
Yeah. You know, isn't it funny how when you're around Self and from afar, you can say, well, he's arrogant. He's probably an unlikable type guy. And I could see people thinking that. And I remember going to games and people would heckle him, and our friend Ashley Hodge would go after him and all. But he has a disarming way about him, because like even after Kansas loses at your place, like when they would lose at Foster or lose at Farrell Center, the way he handles himself at a post-game news conference is much different than a Cronin or some of these guys that are just, I mean, you know, Gottlieb's a buddy of mine, and he just lost it the other night, and he's kind of apologized for that. But I think what you can do with you having these private even kind of conversations with these coaches is like give people a little bit of a picture of what they're like. And I think Self is kind of a candid, kind of interesting, funny dude, isn't he? I mean, like, even though you might have a different opinion of him going into those things.
Yeah, I've had 3 Kansas games over the course of my career, and every time I've talked to him, you always walk away feeling kind of better, which is always a great sign. And I don't think that's like a manipulation tactic by him. I think that's really who he is. He's just a genuine guy who's like curious about other people. And he's also a savant. The guy I called the game with, Matt Muehlbach, was on the Arizona Final Four team in '88. And Greg Gurley's the Kansas analyst, right? And Greg was like, hey, Matt was on the '88 Arizona team in the Final Four. And they were like, can you name the starting lineup? To Self. And Self knocks down everybody in the lineup and does Kenny Lofton and Judd Bushler off the bench, like a savant, you know? And it was really cool. He was real proud of himself because he struggled getting Bushler at the end. And then he was like, Judd Bushler, 35. It was awesome. And he was, you know, as somebody like you're right. Like you get a chance to have those meetings and you don't want to take advantage of them. But, you know, we had to ask him about Darren Peterson. And for me, the guy Matt, who I was calling the game with, he asked it first. The typical Matt, right? Little SHIT stir like you know. So he asked him, you know, he was like, hey, we got to ask about Darren. And I thought it was really telling because before the game, just like he had talked about in the media, you know, he backed Darren Peterson. Like the guy's been hurt. You know, he was definitely very sick before that Arizona game. He's had a string of bad luck. Hamstrings are tricky. But Wednesday night, his comments afterwards, it felt like for the first time, he was completely left out of the decision-making. You know, like he wasn't even aware that was going to happen. And I think that he's frustrated by that. And he did a great, like you said, he did a masterful job of not getting too worked up and not like totally hanging the kid out to dry. But I think he was transparent in like, hey, this is getting pretty crazy. I understand, you know?
Yeah, oh man, remind me to tell you a story about a high school coach I was interviewing when I was a young reporter who who gave me one version for my story, and then when I was like thanking him to leave, he gave me the real version about the kid, and I was just like, wait, and it's a great one. I'll tell it to you.
It's
next
great
time we're
journalism
together.
101, right? Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about while you were talking about Bill Self. Can you imagine for like Scott and Bill Self in like 2018 through 2022, basically they're kind of running the conference, and Kansas ran it. I should add this: Bill Self ran it, and Roy before him, since the beginning of the Big 12, right? I mean, they ran it for 20-something years.
It's
and amazing
all of a sudden, when you look at the legacy. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, around 2021 or 22, Iowa State was just out there. Prom had just flatlined and had this horrible, right around COVID, right? Right
2 and 22. 2 and 22.
Yeah. And all this, they hire Otzelberger, who at the time I'm like, okay. I mean, what he was out at UNLV. He had been on those staffs at Iowa State, so he had some equity in that. But still, I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever. I don't know who this is. Otzelberger gets hired. Kelvin comes in to the conference from Houston. Arizona, Sean Miller finally, they didn't fire him for cheating. They fired him for finally losing, right? And so they fired him. They hired Tommy Lloyd. Tech hires Grant McCaslin after Mark Adams did some weird scriptural stuff, and the whole post-beard stuff got weird. And then BYU in recent years brings in the NBA guy who I was like, I don't really know who this guy is. I don't know. It's like for Scott and Bill, it's like they looked up one day and there was this influx of unbelievable head coaches. Now, we knew Kelvin was great. We didn't know he would just dominate the conference. But to me, we can put all those Baylor stats out and the Bill Self stats, and all of those are great. But the Houston stat is still one that just kind of blows my mind, because and you've covered these games, so these, by heart. But it's like 45-6 or 45. He enters the Big 12, and day one he goes, not only, okay, we're here, and Huggins is laughing. He won't do that in the Big 12, will he?
Yeah.
And he just crushes the Big 12. It took Lloyd and then Ott's getting great. It took even those hires to even try to remotely hold Kelvin in check. Without those losses at Hilton, he would be like 47-3 in the conference.
It's remarkable.
Again, you're talking about Self, it's kind of made me think of that. And it's kind of wild, because as great as Scott and Bill have been, it's almost like this surge of new coaches kind of have put them in check a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think you are spot on with that. I also think you can even enhance like what Kelvin Sampson did, right? Like when Mac Rhodes hires him, they hadn't been to they hadn't won a tournament game, I don't think, since Phi Slamma Jamma. I think that's what it was. And that was a dormant program, and the building was like you said, like a flat line. The program was, and that is done a 180. And then you're right. You bring in these young coaches who have just done a lot right. They've done a lot right, and I think you can also. And I'm not here to say that Scott Drew or Bill Self is like, it's past midnight for them, right? As far as like they got to get out. But I do think that the way that those guys won it's changed. Like I get the vibe, and Bill, nobody told me this, but all the preparation you do getting ready for these games. I get the vibe that if Kansas were to go to the Final Four or win a national championship, like it will be on the table for Bill Self to possibly retire. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think that some of these coaches that are a little older, this is tough sledding for them, right? We know that, and there's no real end in sight as far as every 5 minutes you got to turn around and get a new player, and you're worried about the players in-house are going to leave, and also how do you build your roster? I always go back to Jay Wright. I can remember when I was working at KWTX pulling for Baylor. I'd been in Waco a few years.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm Villanova guy through and through, being from Philadelphia, and my whole family went there. And I was so proud of the way that Baylor and Villanova both played basketball on the floor, and they were good. And I always thought to myself, I'm so proud and fortunate to be affiliated with these two schools and the way that they comport themselves, like on the floor, their basketball program. And you just can't win like that anymore. And I'm talking like 5 years ago, like the recipe for Jay Wright to have success and to win a national championship at Villanova no longer exists in college basketball. And I think he saw that and maybe some other stuff, and he wanted to kind of move on. And I think a lot of these guys are just maybe built a little bit different. Not that Jay has this like amazing, like he's more, he's more open-minded or has more going on in his life than Scott does. That's not true. But I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Scott Drew or Bill Self follows that lead at some point. And now you mentioned it, these young guys are kicking ass. They kind of know the buttons to push, and they're a little more tapped into how you can do this. It's interesting, man. And I hate that because I don't like change. And I like Bill Self. I like Scott Drew. I like Jay Wright. Like, I don't want those guys to go anywhere. I hope they don't.
Wouldn't it be interesting to know like Tech's NIL budget as opposed to Baylor or Arizona?
Yes.
And like,
yes,
I think there's some thought that maybe Baylor is well behind in that area. Although, Roach and Norchad, I think they spent big money. Those were big ticket items.
Yeah.
And I don't. What I don't know is like how far Baylor's behind in that area. And so what has to happen is, and Kelvin was recently, he almost kind of had to back off that, was talking about like how poor they were at Houston. And everybody's kind of like, well, you got 2 one-and-dones right now, and I don't know exactly how poor that is.
Steve Lutz said the same thing to us on Wednesday night. He was like, and we didn't ask, hey, how you going to play? Well, we got to play with pacing. We have to get up and down the floor. We have to create mismatches in transition, because if we don't, Kansas, who has way more money than us and way more tradition and everything going for them, if we get into a half-court matchup with their athletes, we're done. Like he's basically saying, like Matt, he's saying my whole way of coaching and the way I build my roster is around the fact that we are the have-nots, which I was like, man, that's interesting, that he just came out and said it.
Yeah. Somebody's texting us in saying that Scott deserves a statue when he retires.
I agree. There's no question.
He probably should already have one. I mean,
he probably should. Yeah. He probably should. I mean, because you forget, you compared his turnaround to Signetti, and you know better than anybody, there was way more of an underbelly to the Scott thing than the Signetti thing. And the way that like Scott's faith and everything kind of moved mountains to make all that work, that was all part of the recipe. It's one of the most amazing. I know somebody tried to do a documentary on it a few years ago, and I don't know, it got kind of sideways. That is an amazing. Somebody needs to do like a rock solid, we always say now the 30 for 30. I don't care if it's HBO or Amazon. Somebody needs to do a good documentary on it. Because they did a good one on the scandal in 2003. How about we do a good one on the turnaround in 2021 or 22?
I have hard feelings toward that Showtime when they did not talk to me, and I was heavily involed in.
Yeah, they talked to Julie Hayes, and they didn't talk to you. Julie's amazing, but she was, yeah.
I broke the news of the of who pulled the trigger. Like
that was crazy.
That was when newspapers were still a big deal. It was early in the days of the newspaper, but that was when Dotson was about to confess to the FBI we had that story that the morning news, Lee Hancock and I. Okay, this McCaslin thing. I saw his news conference earlier today. You know, he's a good friend, and it's tough to watch. Yeah. And when a team loses just a superstar player, I mean, you know, and that infuriates you about that. I think that would make me even madder if I was like a Kansas fan, is you look at a kid who cares and is that upset and would, if he could, he'd be like Lindsey Vonn. If he could go out there and play on that ACL, he would try to do it. Yeah. And you can't even get Peterson to get you through a game. But that said, do you I mean, that loss is just huge. I guess it's interesting, isn't it? We celebrate all these freshmen, and there's a bunch of great ones, but still, in this day and age, to have a monster like Toppin, a big, 6'7", 6'8" dude who's undersized for a post player, and even though the whole building knows he's going left, what an amazing player that honestly he gave them the chance to go deep in the tournament. And now, sadly, although don't underestimate Grant, but sadly, probably not as much of a chance now.
Yeah, it sucks. And you did a great job touching on that. Like he came back, right? And so did Christian Anderson. And that says so much about Grant McCaslin and what he's building and the job that he's doing there. Same thing at BYU. Like Kevin Young now has to pull off a masterful performance as a coach to take this team who was preseason, top 10, much like Texas Tech, or top 5. And now you got to figure out a way, how are we going to reassess and move forward? I think with Texas Tech, I do believe that like their style of play helps them. But then again, if you talk to Grant, like he would probably say they don't play the type of defense they would need to without JT Toppin. With BYU, I think the guy Kennard Davis has to step up. Arizona's without Koa Pete, at least through this weekend. It's that time of year, and it sucks when you have stars get hurt. And because Richie Saunders is another guy who could probably be a first-round draft pick. He may have been higher as far as pros are concerned, maybe a higher evaluation than JT Toppin. Do with that what you want. But you got a couple of superstars who are now done for the rest of the season in the Big 12, which sort of opens that race back up a little bit, I guess. It was always kind of anybody, but now it's less of anybody.
I was trying to lift Grant's spirits. I don't think he was ready for humor. I said some nice things, and then I followed it up with, you do have a Mosley on the roster. You need to lean into that now. I don't know.
Did you get him a smile?
No, this is just us texting back and forth.
Okay.
So I don't know. Hopefully so.
Yeah.
But he spells it wrong. He spells it with a Mosley.
Yeah.
But I did see him appear in one of those recent games against Arizona State, and he actually was dunking, and he's 6'6", 6'7". Who knows? Maybe Grant. If I were Grant, I would just turn this thing. I mean, March is about guards. He's got 3 dudes that can all shoot the 3. Petty, Anderson, and Atwell. Like, just turn it into guard heaven, right?
Well, it's like we saw if you remember that game against Baylor, like Atwell, it's like he hit everything he shot. They're going to need that. They're going to need guys to get hot at the right time because you need a guy, right? Christian Anderson's still awesome. You still have a guy you can give the ball to when the shot clock or game clock is running down, which is a good feeling if you're a head coach. But without Toppin, obviously things change a lot. But yeah, they're going to have to get way more perimeter for sure.
It's so funny. Grant gets after players so old school, for such a nice, great, and players love him and work for him. And I guess you have to earn the ability to get up in a player's face like that. But isn't that interesting that there's certain NFL coaches or like Brian Kelly, we all thought bad guy. I mean, he's always screaming at everybody and getting in people's faces. And with Grant, I think because he's such a nice person, but man, I will tell you, he gets on his players worse than Bill Self or just about anybody. It's interesting to watch.
Yeah. And he gets a pass in a sense where he's earned their trust. Like those kids know that he truly, deeply cares about them. And, I think we underestimate the smarts of some of these young people, like they see through a lot of that stuff, the transactional nature of coaching, and they see that they have a real life advocate and a guy who can make them better. And so he kind of, it's like, I'm sober, right? So we say this in the 12-step program I'm a part of. If you ask me to be your sponsor, you've immediately given me the right to take your inventory at any time, right? Like you want me to help you. It's the same thing in the coaching profession. Like if you want to get better as a player and you're a real athlete who's willing to go to any lengths to make the NBA or make your team better, then your coach is going to have a little bit of grace to get on your rear end. And we see the same thing in Houston with Kelvin Sampson. I mean, I saw him ride Milos Uzan last year in a practice to the point where I wanted to go home for the kid. And guess what? He decides to come back and stay at Houston because he knows there's one guy who's going to make him better and one guy who really loves him and cares about him, and it's Kelvin Sampson. And there is I ask coaches what we're talking about. Like, what do you do now to get through to these guys? Like, what's the separator from you and someone else? And it's like, those guys, they have to know you care about them. And if they know that you care about them, you get a little bit of wiggle room to kind of tell them like it really is, and it's pretty cool because that's how you and I were raised. And I think that does a pretty solid job of moving you in the right direction, or people who are going to get on you and tell you what you don't want to hear.
Yeah, my dad was certainly willing to do that. And in fact, it just
My
came to
dad
mind.
too.
Yeah. I mean, like there one particular time when I was old enough and dumb enough to try as a, 10, 13, 12-year-old to try to run from my dad.
Oh.
And I was racing around the house, making some really good moves.
There's nowhere to go, buddy. I've been there. I remember doing the same thing, thinking there's nowhere left to go. Like, and just,
but this time, Pete, my dad slipped and fell while trying to pursue me.
That's worse than getting away.
No, but the good news is it all worked out somehow. Maybe either my mom, I don't know, but somehow, and I think my sister was scared for my life, and he started laughing. Like somehow the fall got me through So anyway,
by the way, and you've been after that same type of relationship throughout your career, the way you question some of these coaches and have all kinds of great back talk for them. So obviously it served you well.
Yeah, I've had, some have wanted to chase me, and even Scott Drew, even the mild-mannered Scott Drew, I've gotten under his skin a couple of times. My reporting during COVID did not please Scott when one time I decided to report everybody who would or would not be in the lineup that night. And he felt he felt like I was going a little too far on that. Pete, thank you, buddy. I tell you, you're a busy man. This is the time of year you're traveling a lot, but I always love our conversations. And
anytime you need me, I can hop on next week. Whenever you need me, let me know. Reach out.
I'll have my people reach out to your people.
You can reach out to me. All right.
Okay. You and I can talk. Thank you, Pete.
All right, Matt. See you, buddy.
There he goes. Pete Sousa of the Pete Sousa Show. And then you just never know where he might pop up. He's covering Kansas one night, might be covering Memphis. I hope he gets a look at FAU. My guys have been on a slide, got great friends there at FAU, and they've been on a slide. But he's like one of these top flight refs or officials, in college basketball. The one night they're doing a big headliner Big 12 game, and the next night they're in the Big 10. And so ESPN keeps him very spread out, but love having him on. And I encourage you to watch the Pete Sousa Show, and you can take that in. He's on in the morning, and at last time I checked, he was doing like 10 to 11:30. And but sometimes that can change with his travel schedule, but does a great job. So fun having him on. All right, Kevin, we have a little more college to get to and some NFL news to share. I also wanted to, I want to let you hear a little bit from Fran Fraschillo, what he had to say to us yesterday, and I've got some more thoughts on that. That is next.
Ready for a better kind of primary care?
At Patient First Direct Primary Care, you get unlimited office visits with same-day or next-day availability.
And instead of rushed appointments, we take the time to actually listen.
There are no insurance hassles, just clear, simple care.
You can reach us by phone or text because access shouldn't be complicated. Our practice has expanded to include Medicare-age patients as part of our direct primary care model.
It's a fresh alternative to the traditional insurance or government-driven systems, care that finally puts you first.
For more information, go to patientfirstdirect.com.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Don't buy from social media ads unless the ad is from a verified company. When you click those ads, you open yourself up to fraud. If it seems too good to be true, it almost always is.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Everybody at Equalife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops. Made clean, made to clean.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NordVPN.com.
It is the Mosley Show. And, man, Kev, I was just in mid-tweet here. And this is interesting. I'm going to send this to you because we may want this. But this was a few minutes ago, about 30, 40 minutes ago that they put this out. And Bill Self was getting ready for his game tomorrow, doing the pregame news conference or day before type deal. And asked about Darren Peterson. Was pretty honest, Kev. We had a really good conversation about all this with Pete Sousa, who does a lot of these games. Bill Self said he hasn't finished games. The bottom line is there is a way to change the narrative. Play, finish. That's the way to get people to quit talking. Whoa. Okay. Kev, that's the way, that's what he's been. Bill Self in the last news conference and this news conference wanted to get it out on the table that he's taken up for this guy. He's been there for him, and that he's about had enough of this. Darren Peterson taking himself out of games, playing sparingly in the second half, sitting out. Now, scouts being quoted, anonymous scouts saying, they don't know what to make of it. They don't know, how this will affect where they take him in the draft. Could he drop? Like, if this kid cares, if he cares about his future. And again, he may not. He may he may know that no matter what he does, he's going to get picked top 2 or 3 in the draft. And that's probably true. And he may not change some of his behavior here. But the head coach at Kansas is finally saying, I got a job to do. I get paid a ton of money. I'd like to win one more of these Final Four or win one more of these championships before I'm done. I'd like to go to the Final Four again. And I'm not going to sit here and take all this flack for you. At some point, you have to come out here and face this. And so you're seeing more media say, hey, he should step up and respond and talk to the media and answer some of these questions. And that might help his cause. I don't know. Maybe if he doesn't handle it well, it wouldn't help his cause. But Bill Self is tired of handling this with kid gloves. And so that just happened about 30 or 40 minutes ago, and wanted to get that out to you, what happened there. And so that will be interesting to see. And, all this, we talked earlier about Mick Cronin at UCLA, about the coach at Ole Miss getting into it with Lane Kiffin. The old school in me and a lot of people, Kev, would say, when you have happened to what happened to you at Ole Miss last night, which is you get a great crowd, you're 17th in the country, you got a good team, and you cough up a nice lead, and you have a horrible fourth quarter, and you go 0 for 17 to finish the game, you don't say anything. You don't get on social media and try to praise your team or go after Lane Kiffin. You let the people talk that beat you. You don't get on and try to snap back at people after you lose a ball game. The pride kicks in. And you go, I got beat. We'll live to fight another day. Man, that coach at Ole Miss, Coach Yo, they call her, Yolanda, today she was like, did you play 3 top 25 teams in 5 days? Give me a break. You think anybody wants to hear that? She's done a great job there. She's a really good coach. But when you get beat, you got to take it. You got to take it. Nikki had to do that the other night. Olivia Miles and TCU put it on her. Texas Tech beat her by 30. You got to just own it. And Nikki does that. And quite honestly, Kev, Baylor's sitting there 1 game out of first place. The world hasn't ended. They're in a lot better shape this season than the Baylor men are. But when you get crushed, you got to own it. And it's just interesting to watch all of this happening in college basketball right now. Now, Kevin, do we have this? I was just texting you, sir, a minute ago. Do we have that? What I sent you from our man Fran yesterday?
Been a victim of their own success. You're not supposed to lose all these guys as one and dones.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like Yves Misi. I've known Yves since his brother played with my son Matt at Harvard. Steve. I didn't think he was a one and done, and midway through that freshman year, it was clear he was gone. And I don't think anybody at Baylor thought he was one and done. Now, Keontae George maybe, Jacoby Walter. They've had an amazing run of recruiting one and dones, but it's almost bit them in the behind.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been able to have that continuity. Is it great for the recruiting? Hey, we got 6 straight years of a first round pick. Yes. But it also has bit them in the butt because like Davion Mitchell came out of nowhere. Maceo T came out of nowhere. Jared Butler was semi-recruited hard, but he had the heart issue. Didn't go to Alabama. We can go on and on. I mean, there's 100 guys that Scott's had that we can talk about. But recently, because of the success of the program, it's almost worked in reverse.
Yeah, that was Fran Fraschilla on with us yesterday. And he's right. I mean, it's hard to have the continuity. And maybe they just don't have the NIL money to do what some of these teams do, to have like 2 or 3 unbelievable freshmen. You know what BYU did is they brought in A.J. DeBonsa, and then they stole Rob Wright from Baylor, gave him a bunch of money. And so what you do is you get your big-time freshmen, and then you surround them with veteran talent. Now, Rob's only a sophomore. It's not like he's a huge veteran, but in this world, that's big. That's a veteran. That's a veteran. And Baylor has to solve this. What's interesting is he started naming off those players, Maceo and all those guys, and like, that was the last, that national title year was pre-one and done. Those guys had to sit out a year that transferred in. Davion Mitchell, Adam Flagler, Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua, those guys all had to sit out a season before they got to play. So what's very strange is, and I know part of this is straight up money. So back then you couldn't pay these portal people money, but Baylor was great at the portal. Mitchell came from Auburn. Flagler came from Presbyterian. Maceo Teague came from UNC Charlotte. Chamwa-Chachua had been at UNLV, I think, or somewhere like that. They were great at it. They were great at getting people from the portal. Now, unfortunately, you can't just go, hey, we got this incredible program. We got great facilities. We're, it's just a straight financial transaction. Now, on top of the finances, they have continued to get Tunde, before him, Eve and Jacoby, between those teams, Edgecombe, like great. So I know what Fran's saying there, but it's hard to get away from something that has worked so well in terms of bringing other people in. Now, what I hear you saying is post-national title year, you haven't been back to the Sweet 16, and you're right. Now, there's a reason for some of that. They were a number one seed in 2022, and Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua got hurt. They had to kind of move Sohan into a different role. And if Sohan didn't become great, Sohan was not supposed to be one and done, but he played so great down the stretch that he became one and done because he's so freaking highly skilled, and he could handle the ball. He could be a playmaker. He could be an irritant. He could be a great defender. He was incredible. He was not supposed to be one and done. Neither was the next year, Yves Missi. So it's like, you hate for the answer to be stop taking one and dones, because what you're asking Scott and his staff to do is to go, don't recruit so well. The one and done thing's okay. Now, here's the problem. I don't know how much money it takes now to get a one and done. It used to, Baylor, on its reputation, could go get one and done. Basically, hey, we've been incredible. We won a national title. We will get you ready for the NBA. We develop guys. Come here. You'll get drafted. That was a huge thing. So Baylor has to find the hybrid of continuing to recruit great high school players, but having a robust portal situation. They missed on portal. I mean, Celestine was okay. Roach was a bust. The other player this year, Ratai, has been a bust. I mean, I'm not trying to say they're bust as human beings. I'm just trying to, I'm just being upfront about the way they played. Now, Kev, let's play the other one from Fran, because he gets into a little bit about what I'm talking about the portal and Michael Ratai. And boy, let's hear. We don't have the other one?
I only got the one.
Oh, okay. I thought I sent you both of them. Okay, cool. I thought what he said about Peterson was interesting. And we got a lot of downloads and a lot of people that were talking about Fran's appearance with us yesterday, because what he said about Peterson is that he looked like a guy who checked out of or who had fouled out of a game and had mentally checked out on his team. Whoa. The other thing he said about Michael Rataj was that he thought Michael Rataj would be a good eighth man on a good Baylor team. Didn't think he was a bad player, but for what they thought he was, it didn't work out. Even Oklahoma State got a guy from the same team from Oregon State, and he's a big man, and now he's limited in what he can do. He was not as versatile probably at Oregon State as Rataj, but he's kind of a big galoot of a guy, 6'9", 6'10", big bopper, who's actually been pretty good for Oklahoma State. Hard for anybody to stop, I would say, and can bang around like crazy. Man, that was good having Pete Sousa on today. What a week it's been. And I want to remind you, I think we're in the early next week, we are going to sit down with DJ Lagway, Baylor's new quarterback. And I know DJ's been talking some, and you've seen some of these things, but, we'll do it our way. We'll do it our way. Because I was here when his dad was here, and I've known his dad, and I was at those Baylor games watching his dad. And I know what this means to Baylor. I know what this means to the Lagway family. It's going to be an interesting discussion. And then because of what we do, and I think Baylor's appreciation for what we do, even though obviously sometimes we have to be pretty critical, we're going to be able to bring you some of these new Baylor assistant football coaches. And I think that'll be cool, because one thing Kevin and I have been kind of talking about is, hey, we need to kind of go over this portal class and the hits, the misses, what we think, the whole thing. How did Baylor do overall? I think that'll be kind of cool, because Modkins, I watched play at TCU. He's the new cornerbacks coach. Excited to talk to him. Excited to see some of these new defensive coaches that they've brought in, some of the new coaches on both sides of the ball. The new O-line coach, for instance. He's not new. He's been around, but he was promoted. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And to the Baylor family, these are big interviews. And so I'm anxious to do some of these things moving forward. And so we're appreciative of that. Boy, thank you, Kev. The landing, the Brazos Landing, love the landing, and Stephanie, one of our top sales reps, executives, she was over there today, sending me pictures of how things were looking over there. Had some big time things for, Fat Tuesday, and some of the celebration over there was really cool. Now, Kevin has, as we get ready to do this, a couple of, and we, by the way, Patient First Direct. Wow. Love having them on. I did want to mention you that Truck Month is on at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Brand new 2025 Ram 2500 Crew Cab Rebel. Go anywhere, do anything now with $11,200 off. Huh? Really? How about a new Ram 1500 Tradesman Crew Cab for just $39.99? And not just one, 4 available at that price. And yes, they're brand new. My gosh. And then the Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $11,000 off MSRP. All right, big time stuff going over there at Allen Samuels. And And then some of the deals they're doing on the warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles, second to none. That's big. That's big. Come by. Let's be friends. All right, Kev, as we wrap up and head into the weekend, we got big college basketball tomorrow, including, I know the Hoosiers will be out there, but lots of interesting games, Kev, and sometimes the Big Ten will play on a Sunday if you don't watch them. They'll slip a game in on a Sunday. You never know. Anywhere CBS will have them, that's what they'll do. All right, Kev, what do you have to bounce off of me this weekend?
All right.
Heading into this weekend.
The three big games this weekend. Obviously, number 4 and number 2, Arizona at Houston. What do you think?
Did we decide Houston was the favorite here
I'm
by
looking it up right now.
I would guess Houston by 2.5 to 4.5.
5.5.
Give me the Wildcats to cover the 5.5, but I'm going to take the Cougs to win. I think it's going to come down to the very end, like a lot of these games do, and I think it'll be great. Now, here's the only problem, Kev. As I say that, I start having second thoughts. People just get run out of that building. I mean, I just don't have a lot of memories in my head of Big 12 teams winning there. One sticks out in my mind of Grant McCaslin in Texas Tech when he got kicked out of a game, Tech somehow winning a game there. But I bet since they've entered the Big 12, I'd be surprised, Kevin, if they've lost more than 2 times at their place. I'd be really surprised. So I will not rule out the University of Houston winning by 10 or 15 points, but I'm still going to stick with it. Arizona covers, Houston wins. What else do you have for me?
Well, then it's number 1 versus number 3. Michigan at Duke. Michigan is a 2.5-point favorite on the road in Cameron Indoor.
Why are they even doing this? Is this some kind of...
No, I mean, I think it's great, especially the way it worked out. Number 1, number 3 this late in the season. This is amazing.
I think that's obvious. I'm just trying to get is this part of like a Big Ten ACC challenge type deal or something? Like,
I don't think so.
I know ESPN wants more of this to happen. So I don't know. I love the matchup. So I agree with you that it's worked out fine. Okay. But I still think there's enough great conference matchups to not have to force some of these things. But it worked out, and both teams are great. We always know Duke's probably going to be great. We don't always know about Michigan, but Dusty May's done an incredible job there. Boy, they'll be over on Cadeau because I think Cadeau used to play at UNC. Give me Duke here. Give me Duke to win this one. I bet if I had to guess, Duke.
You're going against the odds there. Then
I bet Duke's favored by. Oh, I am.
Michigan is 2.5.
Oh, I got Duke covering, Duke winning outright.
All right, and then Iowa State at BYU, Cyclones by 3.5.
BYU covers? I think BYU wins. And I know people like, Mosley, Richie Saunders does not play for them anymore. I don't know why. Today I've been banging my have you noticed that? Every once in a while I just bang my mug down. It's kind of my Doug Gottlieb moment.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're bringing out your Gottlieb there.
Although I don't include the F-bomb.
I agree with Gottlieb on everything he said, though. So,
but what was I going to say?
I don't know. Cyclones by 3.5, but BYU is going to get it done because
BYU covers. BYU wins outright. I just think that environment, and I love what Iowa State's been doing. but it's a tough spot. I think the Mormons are going to gather together and have a spiritual experience. And I kind of like that number 30 who's trying to step up for BYU. Pete Sousa said his name earlier today, and I can't remember it. I like that big dude will come in there and just Kada, boom. And then they got a guy named like Diop, or not Diop. By the way, the other guy I like in this conference, I like that Arizona State 7-footer. And he'll dribble around and try to go score and dunk on people and shoot threes.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, to my eye, he looks like he's 7'2". And yet Diop, I think is his name. I'm calling everybody Diop. The guy from BYU sounds like that, but it's actually something a little different. It's like Giop or something. What else do you have for me?
Well, that is it, but we can't escape into the weekend without this bit of Cowboys breaking news. They have released Logan Wilson, freeing up, I think, I'd have to look again. I think it was $6.5 million in cap space. So,
trying to remember what they gave up for young Logan. They needed some help at linebacker. Logan Wilson, been a pretty good player for the Bengals, if I recall. And I think the Cowboys gave up 6th-round pick, something. I don't know. Wasn't a huge deal. He came in, and then one week, everybody was so excited to see him because Kenneth Murray had been playing so poorly. And then one game they forgot to even put Logan Wilson in. And they said, hey, what happened? Well, he got lost in the rotation. So the Cowboys could not even come up with a rotation to remember to put him in the game. That's how big of an impact he had. That's not totally on him. It's somewhat on Cowboys. Logan Wilson, we hardly knew ye. But this represents the big roster purge that's about to take place. It's not just a roster purge, it's a roster redo. Leading up to free agency, there'll be a lot of restructured contracts, and then headed into free agency, the old Cowboys will be sitting there with a bunch of money toward the cap. I mean, it's like they'll have as much as just about anybody. So all of that is about to happen. All right, if you follow this today on Twitter, I would encourage you to subscribe on something we like to call YouTube, the YouTube subscription. And it's free, all right? I mean, if you want to send money to Kevin, you can, but this is totally for free, and you subscribe, and then you can just throughout the show just talk to us all the time. But we also, you can watch us on Twitter every day. We love having all you guys. Thanks to everyone who was a part of this one. We're going to call it a week, and we will see you Monday at 1:00 straight up.
Central National Bank, this is Nikki. How may I help you?
Yes, can you please transfer me to the loan department?
You want to transfer?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, you can't transfer right now.
What?
Have a good day. Yes, how may I help you?
Hi, I would like to transfer money from my C&B account to another bank.
Absolutely not. No. Have a great day.
Wait, hold.
I'm on your website and I'm trying to find the link for your payment portal.
The portal is currently unavailable. Have a great day.
We've received a few complaints.
Correct. We no longer allow any outgoing transfers, only incoming.
But the good news is, no money is leaving the bank. Like, none.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on their screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Golf Partner, overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.